and welcome to another series of Build Back Better with us here at For the Region. During lockdown, a lot's been happening in the city centre. It's really changed its whole feel, it's modernising, it's going green, and there's so much more happening. And I'm really delighted to invite some very welcome guests who are also helping to shape the face of the city centre. I'm delighted to welcome Mamhende from the Centre of African Entrepreneurship, who'll be talking about the Enterprise Hub. Louise Harris from Tramshed Tech, who will be talking about the Palace Theatre. Nick Saunders from DEPOT, talking about the Albert Hall. Alice Mitchell from Swansea Hackspace. Lisa Mart from Ambassador Theatre Group, talking about the Swansea Arena. And Duggie from Swansea Business Improvement District. Welcome, everybody.
Hi.
So as Zoe says, it is a really exciting time to be in Swansea City Centre. And for those of us that haven't been coming into the city day in, day out over the last year and a half, it's quite surprising when you come back in, you see this brand new bridge over Oystermouth Road. The arena has taken massive strides forward and is well underway. And all the new housing development on the opposite side of the road, apartments, new car park, just changing the face as you drive into the city, and definitely a talking point for better or worse, but these landmarks are going to become sort of iconic for Swansea over the next few years. And all of this is part of massive investments that are underway, mainly led by Swansea Council in partnership with the Swansea Bay City Deal, so investment from Welsh Government and UK Government into this city centre scheme. And it's what the leader describes as sort of pump priming, to show that we in the city are so confident in our own future, and to put that sort of flag in the sand and say, you know, things are happening, everyone's on board, there's a shared vision of what we want for the future of the city, and it's a massive statement of intent, really, that first phase of development known as Copper Bay in the middle of Swansea. But what that was intended to do was to grow confidence among the private sector and the independent sector, so that we would see others making investments in the city and, you know, turning around those sort of areas of the city that have been unloved for far too long. So we're really pleased, as Zoe says, to bring together a group of people to tell us about some of the really exciting projects. But one person who is as passionate as we are about Swansea City Centre and spends his days trying to think about how to make it better and improve business in the city is Andrew Douglas, who we know as Duggie from Swansea BID, the Business Improvement District. And Duggie, you've got some great news this week. Would you like to share that with our audience?
Yeah, so last Friday, the ballot was officially announced. We've been in ballot now for just under a month. And Swansea BID was successful in securing its fourth term here in the city. So we were initially started in 2006. We're now the only fourth term ballot in Wales. And yeah, we're here now till 2026. Fighting for the city centre, as it all says behind my head. But yeah, so we've got big plans are already starting to swing into place now that we've calmed down. It's been a very busy month. So things are starting to calm down a little bit now, and then the planning starts.
So you're looking ahead to the next 5 years, but you've done a huge amount of work to keep the city centre ticking over throughout lockdown. How are businesses in the city feeling, and are things reopening and coming back to life after a period of lockdown? Yeah,
the footfall is not where we were pre-lockdown, and we're under no illusion that that is not the case. Personally, I think part of that issue is caused by the fact that you can't fill a bus with people. So getting to the city centre is still an issue. Confidence is coming back. Some of the, Saturdays are nearly as busy as they were. We've worked in conjunction with the council to put parking offers on to counter that lack of ability to get onto public transport. But there are other things coming. During the lockdowns, we were giving away PPE kits to retailers so they could carry on going. We've given away over 5,000 items of PPE into the city centre to keep the traders and their staff safe. We've got more plans for cycle hubs and things to get more people into the city centre, helping people diversify, helping people get to grants so they can change the way that they trade to meet the requirements that COVID has put on people. So yeah, there's lots, and there's some big stuff that's going to be coming within the next 6 months as well. Some very, very big announcements, which I've got to sign the contract for this afternoon, so I can't say anything about it. But there is some very, very big stuff coming before Christmas.
I mean, it is obviously great for Swansea City Centre to have a business improvement district in operation. It's a way for all the traders in the city centre to collaborate and share ideas about what makes things tick and what will make the city stronger over the longer term. So delighted to hear that the fourth ballot was successful. The biggest news in Swansea City Centre is, of course, the new arena, and I'm really delighted to welcome Lisa Mart from Ambassador Theatre Group to tell us about what's going on with the arena. Ambassador Theatre Group are going to be operating the arena on behalf of Swansea Council. Lisa, welcome.
Good morning.
So tell us, where are things with the arena? When's it going to open, and what can we be looking forward to?
Well, construction's obviously well underway, as you've said. For those that live in the area, driving past it, driving underneath the bridge, you can really see it taking shape now. I think we're officially watertight, which is quite a big deal in the construction programme. Yeah, no, it's going really well. We're hoping to get the keys by the end of the year, and then we're going to start a process of testing. So we're hoping to work with some local organisations, local musicians and artists to test the stage, test the bars, test the toilets, all that kind of stuff, and then building up to a big official opening sort of early spring next year, not late spring, early spring is what we're aiming for. So we're currently building that programme as we speak. And what to expect? I mean, everything. The arena's been designed in such a way that it's fully flexible. So we can obviously do your music gigs, comedy, we can do premium theatre, but we can also do things like e-gaming, conventions, sports, things like wrestling, darts. It's a completely flat floor, so we can amend the auditorium in any way we want. So when people ask me that question, I'm like, you tell me, what do you want to see, and we'll figure it out probably. So it's going to be a real exploration over the first few years to find out what we can do, but also what the people of Swansea want to see as well.
And Ambassador Theatre Group is a well-established company that runs venues across the UK, lots of them in London and elsewhere in the regions. What are some of the other venues that you think we can look to and think, oh, well, that might be the future of the Swansea Arena? Or is it completely different from anything you've done before?
It's a little bit completely different, if I'm honest. So the Ambassador Theatre Group runs 57 venues internationally. So we've got venues in America, on Broadway, across Germany, and of course all across the UK, and like you say, quite a lot in the West End as well. I'm actually coming from running one of their venues in Birmingham, and I used to run one of their venues in Wimbledon. So we certainly have a great breadth of knowledge across a variety of venues, but this is the first one that we've taken on that has the word arena attached to it. We have venues in places like Aylesbury and Folkestone and Stoke in England that have got flat floors that are used to hosting music events, but this is the biggest that we'll be doing in the UK. Our venues in America have real premium music events. We own a venue called Sugarland, in Sugarland, Texas, not called Sugarland, in Sugarland, which I always think is a great name, that does real premium music. So really we're going to be looking to them to see how they're doing things and how we can emulate that in the UK.
And I suppose the benefit of having a UK company is all the connections that you guys have got with premium events and music gigs and other shows, that you're adding another venue to an already busy roster, and so we can expect really sort of crowd drawing events and occasions to happen. Do you think that's going to provide opportunities for other existing businesses in the city, just to sort of get into a bit of that discussion about will the arrival of a big new venue like this have knock-on effects for smaller venues and kind of the existing music and arts scene. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, that's the dream, isn't it? Yes, we have a central programming team that program all of our venues across the UK. So yes, we already have those connections. It makes it much easier for us to route an artist tour and to recommend Swansea as a new location. And I think the area is obviously served really, really well by smaller music venues. And, you know, there's lots of great ones in the city. And then you've got the really large scale ones, you know, you've got your Liberty Stadium, you know, you've got Singleton Park, where you're doing 45,000 people plus events. But the problem is that's not sustainable. You can't do, you know, 2 of them a week. So hopefully we'll be able to do more, you know, we'll be attracting artists that can come more regularly. And so we'll be bringing, you know, 2,000 to 3,500 people into the city centre of an evening that we're hoping are going to, you know, be taking advantage of local hospitality, maybe staying over, maybe making a weekend of it. I mean, the one thing I've learned about Swansea is that it's absolutely gorgeous. And, you know, I'm obviously trying to find a house there and decide where to live. And every time I visit, I feel like I'm going on holiday. So I just think, you know, I think people are going to want to come and really take advantage of making the journey if they come from outside the area.
Thanks, Lisa. Yeah, I think that's the challenge that we all face, and for Swansea Bid as well, and for all of us. It's like, how do we leverage the benefit of all this increase in visitor numbers? How do we do a good job of encouraging them to stay and encouraging them to take advantage of everything else that's in the city? And that's going to be up to us to communicate all the things we love about the city and really amplify what there is to do in Swansea and of course in the wider region, because it's bringing people in from further east in Wales, and there's loads that we can offer them. So I'm looking forward to that opportunity, and I'm also looking forward to what we can do in terms of creating events and conferences ourselves. There are some great organisations in the city who can put on amazing events. So it's not all about attracting events from elsewhere. It's what can we build and grow for ourselves with this fantastic new facility. So that is really exciting, and something to look forward to for early next year. For the region is hoping to be able to host some of our regional conferences in the venue. So that's really exciting. But that's a massive new build project. The other thing that's really interesting in Swansea is there are a few key pieces of architecture that have survived the Blitz and have survived successive demolition over the years, and actually point to Swansea's amazing heritage as Copperopolis and as a real sort of thriving town. 2 of those amazing pieces of architecture, which have been left in a state of neglect for far too long, are the Palace Theatre and the Albert Hall. Now, the Palace Theatre on Swansea High Street, many of you will know that it wasn't too long ago that it had trees growing out of the roof, and really has been left in a state of ruin. And finally, Swansea Council were able to acquire the Palace Theatre and invest in saving the building, because it has a huge heritage as the kind of heart of Swansea's cultural scene. I think in the olden days, some real big names came to the Palace Theatre, and it really was the place to be. So thankfully, the building has been saved with presumably money from Welsh Government and Swansea Council to rescue that amazing piece of architecture. And I'm delighted that we've got Louise Harris from Tramshed Tech with us today, and Tramshed are taking it over. So Louise, welcome. Tell us about what you're planning to do with this amazing Swansea landmark.
Thank you, Zoe. Thank you, Dawn, for inviting me today. You're right in saying that Tramshed Tech are now involved in the regeneration of the Palace Theatre in Swansea, and I absolutely love that Lisa went first. She's building a new theatre, and we're in the middle of trying to renovate a very historic theatre, and it's really exciting for us as a business. Probably quite daunting when people hear that there were there actually are still trees growing out of the building. But we have some form as a business in finding fantastic architectural buildings and transforming them into vibrant and extremely busy co-working spaces. So we started off in Cardiff, and we renovated the old Tramshed. That's where we get our name from. And it's got a lot of comparisons actually to the Palace Theatre. So Tramshed had been empty for 9 years before we became involved in the project. It didn't have a roof, it didn't have windows. And funny enough, it had a huge, great big tree growing out of the centre of the building. So we took the space over. We worked with the then landlord to kit it out and transform it into, we've got 30 offices and a co-working space of about 5,000 square feet. That was 4.5 years ago. And in that time, we have transformed not just Tramshed in Grangetown, but also a number of hubs across Wales, UK, and we actually recently opened our latest European office in Paris. So we've had a fast expansion and growth plan underway. COVID hasn't really slowed us down, but our heart has always been and will always be in Wales, and that's where we make our home, and that's also where we put all of our energies to try and open new spaces. We know from what we've done, we've got a hub in Carmarthen, we've got one in Newtown, one in Pembroke Dock. We know from our work in Cardiff and the surrounding areas that we can't get enough space for the amount of companies that want to work in the way that we work here at Tramshed. And obviously COVID has accelerated that somewhat. And just to give you a little bit of a flavour of the model that we operate, so you can kind of envisage what we've got planned for the Palace Theatre. We focus very much on tech and digital businesses, and we see that that is a huge growth potential for Swansea as a city, but also for the economy in Wales in general. So we focus on supporting those tech and digital companies, and they may be individuals, or they may be startups, or they may even be scaling companies. But we create an environment in a physical space that allows us to support those businesses, however large or small they may be, to create opportunity. So that may be opportunity around new ways of growing their business. It may be opportunities around gaining investment, or it may be opportunities around partnering with some of our, as I mentioned, UK and European network spaces. So we are all about physical space, and we will be creating that in Swansea. But even more important to us is the community that we work very, very hard to build around those physical spaces. So here in Cardiff, we have over 500 members based in just one of our spaces, but our online network is into the thousands now. And that's very much supported by the organisations that we bring together in order to create that community. So we work with big organisations, prime organisations that are already based in Swansea. We work with Admiral, Microsoft, Barclays, NatWest, very big organisations. And then we work with amazing startup and scaling companies like, I'm just thinking of some of the tech companies in Swansea, like Delio, for example, a fintech scaling company. And we bring those companies together in order to, as I say, create amazing opportunities. So we're super excited to be bringing that to the Palace Theatre. But we also see, and it's great to see so many collaborators on the call today, we also see that we would be working with the wider community, with Nick over in the depot, and hopefully the other colleagues on this call, to create a wider community beyond just the Palace Theatre that extends to the whole of the Swansea Business District.
I think that's a really key point, Louise, that, you know, buildings are one thing, and you're absolutely right. We need the right sort of space for businesses to set up and grow. And businesses want to be in amongst other businesses of a like mind. So those kinds of clusters are really successful elsewhere. But it's also about the ecosystem, isn't it? It's about building the networks, making sure we're a really connected business community where people know each other, can work together, encouraging those kind of inter-trading opportunities and also learning from each other. And it can be a lonely journey when you're a business owner or an entrepreneur. So being in community is really important. When are you hoping to open? What's the timescale on all of this?
We are hoping to be open. We're always very optimistic, so we're hoping to get open probably not too long after Lisa opening in the arena. So summer 22 is where we've been heading. That may slip slightly due to, you know, some of the restrictions we've faced because of COVID over the last few months. But as I said, we have got a track record of these projects in the past, so we're hoping that all of the work that we've been doing over the last 18 months to get to this point will mean that we can get open by summer next year.
Wow, it's going to be an exciting year. That's fantastic to hear about that. Thanks so much for coming and updating us. And I'm going to come to Kim next, because in a similar way, Kim's project for the Centre for African Entrepreneurship is very like-minded with that in terms of creating space and support networks for entrepreneurs in the city. Welcome, Kim. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Dawn. Yeah, rightly said. For us, we work primarily with people that want to start their own businesses. So it's either, you know, they've already had a business idea, or, you know, they just have an interest in entrepreneurship, but are not really sure where to go for support or what exactly to do. So for us, we've just, you know, over the years tried to sort of build a network, you know, to bring together these people, these entrepreneurs, so that they can support each other as like-minded individuals, as well as, you know, through the journey, as you said earlier, Dawn, about it just being an isolating journey where, you know, sometimes, you know, people cannot share the challenges maybe with their family or whatever it is, people that they have around them. So at least we will bring together these entrepreneurs so that they can support each other, but also can get support from the many business support providers we have here in Swansea. I think just the networks we have is one of, you know, just the strong, you know, key points about Swansea. So we've got this new enterprise hub. We just got funded for it. So essentially you'll be purchasing a building and transforming that to be a place where we can bring together all these small businesses that we've been working with and any new businesses that will be coming up, connecting them again with the support providers that are around in the region, as well as hopefully, you know, investors can come in and see just the ambition and just the big ideas that are around in Swansea. So apart from that, us as an organization, we just try to do things to help people on that journey. So for example, we'd plan to have like a cafe where it will essentially be run by small businesses, where, you know, we're handing it over to them to be able to, you know, get whatever relevant certificates that they need through the cafe, have volunteers, whatever it may be, to just support people at the very grassroots level. And through that as well, we can continue to train more people and then still just connect a whole different community to each other. So that's just the plans that we have for the Enterprise Hub.
I think it's about that whole pipeline, isn't it? You know, we all have this vision of Swansea as a thriving city full of independent businesses of all different types. And that starts with creating the right conditions for people who may not even have considered self-employment, or who may not have that sort of confidence or belief in themselves, to find encouragement, to find people who tell them, yes, you can do it. And, you know, it's really important for the future of our economy that you do take that step and try and grow your own business in the city. The universities obviously have a huge role to play in that, and we're really lucky in Swansea to have 2 universities with really strong entrepreneurship programs. And then organisations like the Centre for African Entrepreneurship, the Young Business Dragons, and many others in the city who are working really hard to create that ecosystem of support for anyone that thinks they'd like to start a business. And Swansea has already won awards and been rated, you know, one of the top places in Britain to start and grow a business. And it's that culture of enterprise that we think is going to be a real driver for success over the next few years. And I think the work that you do, Kim, is so important in making sure we're providing real opportunity and welcome to people from diverse backgrounds. I know that the city has become much more ethnically diverse over the last decade or two. And again, that's become really central to our identity here in Swansea. So it's really great to make sure we're providing that welcome and providing opportunities for everybody. Do you think people you talk to are aware of what else is happening in the city, Kim? Or do you think a bigger job needs to be done to communicate the opportunity? Do people feel optimistic about the future? Or, you know, what are people saying about what they'd love to see for Swansea?
I think generally, I think as we said before, people do just generally have a negative perception when it comes to Swansea and just, you know, everything around it. So I think that's also something that we try to change, because we work as well a lot with young people, for example, that are in university. And we are also trying to, you know, show young people that there's all these opportunities, all these interesting things that, you know, are coming up in Swansea for you to do, things that you can just get involved in. And yeah, to just stop young people, you know, from leaving, from getting their degree here in Wales and then going back to England, whatever it is. So I think there is a lot of work that still needs to be done in terms of people knowing what is around, and just consideration as well for other groups, as you've said, because we work primarily as well with ethnically diverse groups. And for that, these are typically marginalized groups where, in terms of messages that sometimes may go out, it may not reach these groups. So I think there's just a lot of work that still might need to be done in terms of making sure that we're reaching every single person, because Swansea has become a city of sanctuary, hasn't it? So to just make sure that, you know, we are considering all the different groups and involving them in everything that we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I liked what you said earlier about creating that sense of ownership by handing over responsibility for the cafe and for the space to the community as well. So it's really making sure everybody can be part of this very positive story, but making sure people realise they don't have to leave Swansea to make their dreams a reality. And with many of the partners here today, it's clear that those opportunities are going to be here in the city, and it's up to all of us to take advantage of that. So the Albert Hall is another architectural gem in the city that has had many different uses over the years, and has been an aspiration for the council to regenerate and bring back into beneficial use for some time. And I'm really delighted that we've got Nick here to tell us about a new project that's going to be taking place in the Albert Hall. Nick, welcome. Tell us what you're up to.
Morning, Dawn. So Depot's obviously been in operation in Cardiff since 2014. For no one who doesn't know Depot, we're a multi-purpose event space that started off as a pop-up, and then we permanently recently moved location to a new 22,000 square foot warehouse in Cardiff. And we've been looking for a site in Swansea for quite some time. Back in 2018, we actually looked at a place on Fabian Way, the old bus depot. Some of you might see it on your way in. And unfortunately, we didn't get planning for it. So the opportunity arose when Lofco, who are the developer behind the Albert Hall project, came to us earlier part last year. Louise will know from Tramshed and the developers there who've created what they've made a brilliant development there. And the opportunity has come to obviously to make a live music venue and a food hall on the ground floor of the Albert Hall. It's a historic building. It's over 157 years old. It's had performances from Charles Dickens, Oscar Wilde, stacked in history. And obviously, like you said, it's been left for quite some time and really needs a new lease of life. So we're really hoping, then really excited to come to Swansea. been able to put in what we put in enthusiasm from events, from a food perspective, bringing all the different types of creativities together under one roof, I suppose. We're the ground floor. There's then obviously other layers to the building that the developer's doing. Not 100% sure on what's still going in there, but I think the idea behind the project is to have multifaceted uses of it, become a destination for that area, and obviously we're sort of one of the anchor parts of that. Our idea primarily is going to be able to do live music up to 1,000 capacity. Obviously you got Lisa over with 3,500 in the arena, sort of Sin City at 500, and we still think there's a massive opportunity at the sort of 1,000 capacity mark for live music gigs. I think something that probably Swansea hasn't been able to have for quite some time. You've obviously got huge names coming to Singleton Park, to the Liberty and the likes over the years, but I don't think they've had that out and out ability to see gigs at sort of that 1,000 capacity level. So yeah, we're really excited to come. Development and construction is underway, and it's probably going to be not until the autumn of next year that you'll see us probably open, but yeah.
We hear a lot about this idea of pop-ups when we're talking about placemaking and regeneration these days, and I was interested to hear that sort of that's how you guys started. Will you tell us a little bit about that sort of pop-up context and how that has now evolved into taking on these sort of more permanent venues? Does it keep something of the culture of a pop-up when you move into these spaces?
I think for this project alone, this is going to be a little bit different for us because it's going to be more of a more polished version, or the most polished version of what we've done. Primarily, we take over spaces which potentially will have a short-term lease on it. We will turn it into something that potentially someone can't see through the vision for. In the last warehouse, if you looked at it before we converted it into a street food market, you would have thought I was barmy mad. It was an absolute dump. But I think in terms of the pop-up, it's making something, giving something a new lease of life, and it's being creative with it. And I think that's what we've done previously. And I think where our business has sort of moved on from that, you do have to try and look at sort of the length that you'd be able to spend into these spaces. So the infrastructure has to be put in place for those, hence why we're looking to sign a long lease here in Swansea and be here for the future.
I suppose it's enabled you to test things and see what works and learn along the journey to now, as you say, move into kind of a longer lease. You mentioned a food hall. I mean, that's a real key theme for our city centre. Local food producers, street food. We've got some fantastic street markets in Swansea. Tell us a little bit about the food hall. Are there opportunities for local businesses in that, and who will go in there?
Definitely. I think one thing I was quite conscious about coming to Swansea is, I suppose there is a rivalry between Swansea and Cardiff, and us being a Cardiff-based business.
No, surely not.
I didn't want it to feel at all that we were coming into the city and putting our stamp on things. And I've already started to make conversations with local suppliers, local traders, and giving them the opportunity to showcase and show off what they can do for the city. So by all means, we'll be working with different traders. There's going to be 5 kitchens available, which we'll go out to tender for Swansea and the surrounding areas. And then from production into the live music space, we're going to be looking to work with local production companies and ensuring that the local crew and everything else is involved in this project and make it a real community feel to it.
Thank you for saying that, Nick. I think that's so important. I mean, that's what we want to see from all of these projects. We want to see them creating opportunities for local businesses, local creative people and creative organisations. There's such a wealth of that in our city, and we really want to see that capitalised on. So really great to hear those opportunities that you guys are bringing. And as you say, it just adds another string to our bow in terms of a 1,000 capacity venue. So we're not going to be able to choose between all these amazing cultural events that are coming to the city. Fantastic to hear about that. Thanks, Nick. So we've talked about arts and culture, and we've talked about food, and we've talked about creative and digital. There's another real key theme for Swansea, one of our strengths and our opportunity areas, historically and in the modern day, and that is engineering and inventing things and being a city of innovators. I've mentioned already that we used to be known as Copperopolis, but we were also the city where I think the hydrogen fuel cell was invented, and a huge number of other stories about our fantastic industrial and engineering heritage. And so we wanted to talk today about a really fantastic innovative space in the city centre called Swansea Hackspace, and I'm delighted to welcome Alice Mitchell to talk to us about that. Alice, welcome. Tell us about Swansea Hackspace. What's all that about?
Hi, thank you for inviting me. Swansea Hackspace is a community-owned maker community. We have a dedicated space in the city centre where people who are interested in making, building, designing and skill sharing get together and utilise the space and the facilities to work on their projects and their ideas. We have built up over the last 8 years a steady community and quite a large collection of equipment. We have active groups from, we have a strong textiles group, we have a strong 3D printing, laser cutting, vinyl and graphic design, lots of different creative and technical groups, and we provide our services to the community, to members, for anybody who needs the space, the equipment or the skills to build something.
It's really...
we're entirely volunteer based, but during lockdown we were pushed to move from our existing premises high above Wynn Street, and we've been lucky to secure a lease on Park Street in the centre of the city, where for the first time we'll have a street level presence, which we really hope will make us more visible to the community. And we're in the process of fitting out what was a very dilapidated building, bringing it back up to a safe standard and building the working spaces, the workshops, the teaching spaces and so on that we will be using.
I mean, as you say, Swansea Hackspace has been in existence for a great number of years, but has been pretty invisible to people around the city. So that is a really exciting step forward, that we'll be able to see a street level presence and for people to realise that there's this great resource that they can take advantage of. And I suppose in a way that the makers and the doers in these kinds of spaces, again, form part of that ecosystem of innovation and potentially entrepreneurship for the city. You say it's volunteer run. That sounds like a huge job for a team of volunteers. Have you got a committed group of people that run that?
There's a group of 5 directors elected from the membership. We're all volunteers. But yes, we have a pretty dedicated team of people who have been working to bring the space up to a livable standard, as it were, repairing the electrics and so on. But we have such a diverse team, which is great. People with all sorts of skills, and a few small companies from around the city, some entrepreneurs that have worked in the space also contributing their expertise and helping us to rebuild the space, and hopefully have, with the increased floor space we will have in this facility, we hope to be able to help a lot more people and grow more.
It's part of the message, isn't it, that there are opportunities here in the city for everyone to get involved and learn new things and use their skills and share their skills with others. It's a fantastic example of that kind of grassroots network that is really creating opportunities for all kinds of people, perhaps those people who haven't had success in kind of the traditional education options that exist, but want to just be hands-on and make stuff. Really exciting.
Yeah, our community has been also from just hobbyists, students. We do get some small startup companies who can't afford that kind of equipment for themselves.
That's the key, isn't it? They're really like high-tech 3D printers and things like that.
Yeah, I say 3D printers, laser cutters, computer-controlled milling machines, vinyl cutters, sewing machines, overlockers, just so many different things, tools, equipment, and people who are enthusiastic and knowledgeable about using them. And anybody can come along, be shown how to use a piece of equipment, and then use it for their own ideas and projects.
Yeah, I love that. Great to hear about that. Thank you, Alice. And I think that's something that we need to amplify a lot more. As I say, I think it's been a hidden gem in the city, and it'll be great when you're in this new space. When are you looking to be able to open up in the new location? Well, things have been stalled a lot by COVID because we're volunteers. We've been restrictions on who can go in there. We're hoping we're going to start to allow small numbers of people in the next few months. Great. Well, yeah, everything's hopefully returning to some semblance of normality, fingers crossed. So yeah, great. Keep us posted. That sounds really exciting. So Duggie, we've had a huge overview there, haven't we, of all these different developments, projects and initiatives in the city and coming to the city. Does it make you feel excited?
It makes me think I should have gone for 10 years, not 5. There's an awful lot to do. I'm just dropping a message to Alice. We'll be able to help you with some publicity when you get going. Nick, we may need to talk. I have some traders who are looking to get in to provide your food spot venues. There's so much going on, and a load of stuff that we're doing is going to be able to support you. I'm going down to see Lisa in the arena on Thursday. I'm very excited about that. Yeah, so there's lots going on. And Kim, I can't leave you out. We're going to have a chat as well. So yeah, there's lots and lots going on. It's really, really exciting to see all this. Lots of different things coming to the city centre. As somebody who does like a bit of live music, I'm going to be very, very busy. So yeah, it's going to be brilliant. I'm really excited. It's all about sort of finding more reasons to visit the city than just retail. We haven't really talked at all about retail today, and it just shows how the role of our town centres and city centres is shifting and has to shift really, and great to sort of see that strength. I'm interested to hear from either Louise or Nick with your kind of Cardiff hats on. You've referenced that sort of old rivalry between the two cities, and one of the things we talk about here in Swansea is that we're not trying to be another Cardiff. What do you think are the kind of key differences and sort of the opportunities for Swansea to be different and better than Cardiff?
Swansea is the second biggest city in Wales. Everyone knows that. I think it's punched below its weight for quite some time. I mean, the opportunity is in that it is a beautiful city, as Lisa alluded to before. Wherever you do visit, you've got the beach just on your doorstep, and you've got the greeneries around. I think it is definitely going to be a destination place people will visit, even if it's more towards the wider communities that are feeding into Swansea. I think it's definitely a destination place, and the more things that can be happening in the city centre to drive the footfall and to make it more of an experience for people when they do travel, the better. I think it's got a massive amount of creativity in terms of what can be done, and I just think that it needs the places to showcase that, whether it's from a food perspective or from the performing arts perspective.
Thanks, Nick. Louise, will you say anything about the difference between Swansea and Cardiff, perhaps?
Yeah, sure. In terms of the differences, I think Nick's covered those fantastically well there, you know, and Lisa did mention the beauty and some of the reasons why people are attracted to Swansea. For me, though, as we start to build out the business there and work with local businesses on the ground, I think it's also about the people that are now being attracted to Swansea, and those like Alice that have been there for a while, and how those people start to work together. And that's what will give Swansea a real unique edge over other cities in the UK, is the types of businesses and the entrepreneurs that will start to do and have been doing amazing things based in the city. So it's a bit like speaking earlier about, is it about place or is it about people? For me, I think it's always about the people that you bring together. Swansea has all the right ingredients. I work with an organisation called the UK Tech Cluster Group. And we report directly to DCMS in central government. And on that group is a representative of every region, major region in the UK. So you've got the big guys, the Manchesters, the Leeds, the Edinburghs, the Glasgows. And when you, on paper, put Swansea into that mix, all of the things that you need, all the ingredients, they're there. But lots of other cities have those as well and don't make the most of those things. And I think what Swansea has now over other cities in the UK is the willingness, the enthusiasm, and the entrepreneurship that's required to push this innovation forward. So it's a really, really exciting time. And I think those unique aspects are all about the people.
That came through actually really strongly in a business forum meeting that we hosted a few months ago. You know, the people, the friendliness of the people, and also that sense of pride in Swansea that exists, real strengths that we can build on as we go forward. I mean, Swansea is a place of massive inequality as well, and a huge amount of sort of deprivation across the city. What's really important is that we never lose focus, that all of this investment, all of these new spaces, bringing more events, more cultural opportunities to the city, our end goal has to be to provide opportunities and jobs and improve the life chances of those people who've lived here and grown up here, and give them reasons to stay and the ability to build happy, healthy lives in the city. I think that's one of the things that comes through in every conversation you have with local businesses. They really care about the communities around Swansea. They really care about young people in our city who perhaps have had to watch while other cities have had the investment and exciting stuff has happened elsewhere. And what we really want to do is get that message across that it is happening here, and that there are opportunities for people to take advantage of, and we need to make sure that all communities really have access to that.
I just wanted to sort of say that I've really enjoyed today's conversation. Everything that has been discussed is all around our sort of core values here at For the Region. Our core values are around positivity, collaboration and empowerment, and all of you guys are all doing every bit of that. And I can't wait to get this video out and show everybody, all of our regular listeners and our newsletter readers, what an exciting time it is for the city. It's just brilliant, and the diversity of the different things that are coming together in the city centre. And I know that I had a chat with Duggie a couple of weeks ago. There's some great stuff happening that the bid have got on the plate as well. The city centre is going to be looking very different soon. And as Dawn mentioned earlier, 2022 is obviously going to be the year.
So much to look forward to. And for any of you listening, please get in touch with us if you're doing something exciting in Swansea City Centre that you think we should know about. We want to amplify all the good news stories and connect people. I think some good connections have been made here today around the table, but there are other amazing things happening. There's the pedestrianisation of Wine Street, which is ongoing to create really nice, safe district for nightlife in the city, but also for daytime entertainment and hospitality. There's the redevelopment of Castle Square with new spaces going in there as well. And the regeneration of the wider city continues. So it's very much an evolving story, and there will be hidden gems amongst all of that that we don't know about. So if you're bringing something amazing to Swansea, or if you've got an idea that's looking for a home, looking for space, please get in touch with us at For the Region, and we'll do our best to connect you to all the great change makers that we've heard from today and many others who we haven't heard from. Do like and subscribe to this video channel and leave a comment below. Please share this with your friends and colleagues, and make sure that we are getting the word out there about what an exciting place Swansea is to live, work, invest and visit. But for now, I think that's all from us. I've been Dawn Lyle from For the Region. Thank you very much for listening.